Right, this is issue 174 of Green Lanterns, or just Lanterns. It's the next edition of this run that we started looking at on here. Lenny Wein and David Gibbons, the Captain America writer David Gibbons. We've got a great cover here of the hero standing in the way of a missile, prepared to stop it. Thou shalt not pass. They used this as the cover for the hard paperback that began collecting this stuff. We are continuing straight on from issue 173. Green Lanterns, the Rat Bastard version, has just embarrassingly lost to one of the most pathetic supervillains around. If you think that I am unfairly judging a man who throws a javelin, as I pointed out last time, they felt so little of him, they realised they couldn't, in good spirits, feature him on the cover to this issue. One cover featuring him was enough. That is one of the good things about Green Lanterns, or what used to be one of the good things. The world is so big that you might have a dud like this, but then you can move on to something completely different afterwards. Green Lanterns can gan into space and fight a fuck ugly alien or something. Choosing to ground this character, or focusing on him in what is intently committed to being a grounded story, is an appalling decision with no foresight whatsoever and limited understanding of what is brilliant about the character and his entire mythology. And the thing is, Lenny Wein does keep him grounded for a while. I'm not talking about this comic, obviously. It made some sense here, at least. He had been away from Earth for a long time. This was his big homecoming, his return to his own planet. So he doesn't need to leave again, just because he is fighting a bad guy as uninspired as he currently is. It's also where the tales of the Green Lanterns' corpse come in. While you might have Rat Bastard on Earth, you still have that conceptually limit-free world out there being built. We have some downtime with Rat Bastard. We have Tommy, Rat Bastard's poor friend who he racially abuses. And then we also have a lot of drama with the airplane company. The villain, he stole from them. He stole their new engine. And now we've actually got a great scene with Saffron Starfield standing up to her dad. She's like, "Oi, fuck off." It's a good scene for her. Gives her a lot of autonomy and authority. And then her dad doesn't really take anything from the blasting he just got. He redirects his anger to someone else. He blames the local congressman. And he's not wrong either, because it was he who ordered the entire theft. The congressman contracted our javelin-throwing menace to steal the airplane company's experimental solar engine. One thing I noticed this time around, I've read all these before obviously, we are going to have a mystery villain soon. Predator. which is a funny name for a rat bastard villain because he is one himself. Rat Bastard is a predator. I know who Predator turns out to be, but we switch writers between the introduction and the reveal, and maybe what Lenny Wen intended wasn't what we got, or on the other hand, maybe Lenny Wen is simply setting up a lot of red herrings. Almost every male character that isn't Rat Bastard, or already a shitbag guy. I feel like the bits with Tom, with Saffron's dad, and then the congressman, they all could be set up or hinting at Predator in some way. Elsewhere, we have pollution. Is this an issue of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures? I hope not, because no one watches my Turtles videos. This is rather bringing us our next set of issues that have a slightly better bad guy than we have now. Over here is another 3 potential red herrings, and we've not even been introduced to Predator yet. And ironically enough, it's none of the ones that I have viewed as being possibly teased in this issue. It turns out to be the one person they repeatedly, explicitly show is not Predator. And it is a complete farce and a shit show. Here we have some of the romance between Rat Bastard and Saffron Starfield. He won't let her down. He needs to get the engine back to save her company. It's a relationship I don't like, down to Rat Bastard, a character I don't view as a very nice person. Maybe you don't know this. In the New 52, they had her get with the Kyle Reese version of Green Lanterns. That was better. It's not my preferred pairing for Kyle Reese, but it kept her away from Rat Bastard. Of course, John Jeffries saw that and spat his dummy and undid it as fast as he could, because Rat Bastard is the best, most noble hero in the entirety of comics, and he inspired Batman. Our villain, the bad guy, he is called Spear Chucker, and I am prepared to argue semantics there. He has a bunch of foot soldiers that dress like him, and now he fights Green Lanterns. A physical fight. He is apparently a former Olympic athlete, so I am willing to go with the idea that maybe physically he could fight someone. But the thing is, he's fighting a guy with a magic ring that should make short work of a guy whose only real gimmick is hurling pointed sticks. It does cover that well enough here. Spear Chucker isn't much of a threat anymore. And then he is roundly beaten by Rat Bastard. The most extraordinary thing is that he has created a giant javelin. He has made a massive version of his own choice weapon. Really, it's just a missile. It's a big rocket. But it's meant to be like a javelin. And I called this a grounded story. It's yellow too, so it's Green Lantern's one weakness. Again, maybe if you only read shit Green Lantern stories, you might never have been aware that Rat Bastard ever had a weakness. He cannot use his ring against it, so instead he has to use his noggin. He is a trained airplane company man, so he can tinker around with its insides. He removes the solar engine that was twonked and then steers it away from a populated area. He aims it at the sea. The pollution subplot page seems unnecessary. I think Rat Bastard letting this go off in the sea would cause greater pollution. And that is the reason for our next villain, Armagon, the future shark. Armagon is out for the blood of the people who pollute the sea. This grotesque, hideous mockery of a man, as the script calls them. Beware, world, for the future shark lives again. I live and I hunger. That will be our next story arc, Green Lanterns vs Armagon, and the tales of the Green Lanterns' Corps backup features will eventually return too. I like this run, but I think that is what I like, the run, not the individual issues or stories. This is an okay random two-parter with a doofus supervillain. There's nice art and some decent set pieces, but as a story it doesn't quite cut the mustard. Having mentioned Predator and the disaster that turns out to be, it made me remember that it's not always where we end up or what the stories themselves are in the end, but rather what you get out of them. And there are things that one can get out of this issue in spite of its problems. So I give this a 7 thumbs up rating.